guys, what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rides. I'm back here at Ed Morse Mazda in Port Richey, Florida, because guess what? We're gonna compare two popular Mazda SUVs that you have asked me for. We're gonna have this 2019 Mazda CX-5. This one's fully loaded, Signature Series with all-wheel drive, compared to the biggest Mazda on this lot. This is the CX-9 3-row at the touring trim level. Both of these are within dollars and cents compared price-wise at that MSRP level. So we're gonna answer that question. Do you wanna go fully loaded with all the bells and whistles? Or do you need something with a little bit more room and you're willing to give up some of that? But let's go ahead and talk about Mazda history. Mazda's been around since the 1920s. They first produced cork, believe it or not, of all things. They didn't make their first car until the 1930s. It was the three-wheeled Mazda Go. Since then, they really have created a unique niche, especially as of late, with a high-quality product at a great value with amazing styling. And there's really no surprise that Mazdas are doing very well, especially when we look at these SUVs. So let's go ahead, take a look at the Mazda CX-5 first, and then we're gonna compare it to the CX-9, but we're gonna start at the front end of the business. Let's check out the noses. So on this 2019 CX-5, I love the design. Really, I think Mazda has hit the nail on the head with their grille design. It really gives a unison, no matter what Mazda vehicle that you're looking at. It's brand recognition, just like that wonderful logo there. But I love the design of the grille. It's a nice gloss black, some really great chrome finish here, and then you have nice flat surfaces, flat black surfaces, give it a little bit more rugged look. But I think one of my favorite things about Mazdas is how they take that silver grille area and bring it into the headlights. Headlights are very slim, very trim. At this trim level, speaking of trim, those are gonna be LED adaptive headlights. That means they're gonna turn with the wheel as you go back and forth. The first CX-5 actually came out on the scene all the way back in 2012. Let's compare it to the front of the big brother, the CX-9. First CX-9 was actually 2006. Now, one thing that you'll notice is on this trim level, the touring trim level, you do not have fog lamps, but I like the way that they just kept it simple and put some flat black material there. You still get nice headlight setup coming across the front. That same similar flat black gives it a more rugged look. I love, like I said, the shape of the design of the grille is really great. This one has those chrome horizontal lines. I think with the chrome, what's nice is that it blends a little bit more with the chrome trim that goes around the bottom portion and then up into the headlights. Like I was telling you before, that is a way to look at a Mazda product, is those intricate designs to it. But comparing one to the other, very, very similar in the looks. Let's go ahead, take a tour around the outside of each of these and see what's different. All right, guys, time to take a tour around the outside of this 2019 CX-5 Signature Series. So as we come around the bend, like I said, I love the headlight housing. One thing that I like to see a lot of times on these SUVs is that if they're gonna go flat black on the bottom portion, I like the way that they bring the flat black material all the way around the fender well. Mazda does a great job with the wheels. So with the Signature Series, you're gonna get this 19-inch wheel. It's almost like a brushed aluminum look, really works well with the dark gray color. And I think that the way that the car sits, it has just the right amount of distance between the top of the tire and inside of the fender. One thing you'll see when we take these for a spin, Mazdas, even their SUVs, drive really wonderful and really take care of the driver in making that wonderful engagement process. As we go down the side, very, very slim, super slim LEDs built into the side mirrors. I like a little bit of gloss black here, nothing too bad. And then you're gonna get that same, just like on the wheels, that brushed aluminum roof rail. I like the way it goes with the wheels. You got your color matched door handles, little bit of shiny bit chrome, which is great because remember, at the start, there's some chrome up front, and then nice flat black on the bottom here. Take a good beating as you're using this as your daily driver and going about your business. Now, no surprise, the CX-5 is one of Mazda's top sellers. It really outsells a lot of the other vehicles that are at your local Mazda dealership. As we come down, I like the style of the roof rail. Now remember, I'm 6 feet tall, so if you get the crossbars, which are available of course, you could get your kayak bike, whatever you want to put up there, coming into this rear quarter window. This is what I like. I like the way that they kept it gloss black here, flat black here, and then they brought that chrome into the rear quarter window and made it a little fatter. It gives it a lot of personality. And I think that when it comes to sportiness, the CX-5 looks sporty, and it also handles very sporty. Now, as we come around the rear, I know I always say this in my Mazda reviews, they have some of the best taillights. Sexy, sexy taillights. I love the design. Really great with the gloss black portion on top. You have a little bit of a roof spoiler coming off the back. That's where they're going to mount that third brake light. And then as we come down, just a very, very clean look. Another thing that I love about Mazda products, they let you see the exhaust. They're real exhausts, and I like the way they balance one on each side of the other with a little bit of the flat black to kind of just bring in that flat black from front to back. CX-5, all-wheel drive, signature series. Let's go ahead. We've seen this one. Let's go take a look at the CX-9. All right, guys, time to take a look at the CX-9 Touring trim level. Now, remember, you could take that trim level, you could go up to Grand Touring. So let's see what you get for the money. Now, as you come around the bend, same thing. Just like on the CX-5, they take that flat black all the way around the bend, and then very, very similar design on wheel. Now, what's different, though, is this is an 18-inch wheel. If you don't know much about wheel diameter and all that, 18 inches, we're talking about from bottom to top here. So that CX-5 actually has an inch larger wheel, which really changes the look of it, but still 18-inch wheel, great looking wheel, that brushed aluminum look, lots of space. This is front wheel drive. All-wheel drive, front wheel drive. Different. As we come down the side, you can see you still got that beautiful paint on the mirrors. Very, very slim LED lights. Probably some of the most slim I've ever seen on an SUV. As we go up onto the roof, do have a sunroof, but you don't have the cross rails. That is something that, the roof rails. That's something you're gonna have to add, including the crossbars, if you wanna mount anything to the top of this. Now, 6 feet tall, you can see the height difference. It's a little bit taller. Obviously, it's a little bit larger than the CX-5. They decided to take the chrome, both top and bottom. You do have still the flat black across the whole bottom portion, which I think is smart. And then coming towards the rear window, you can see like what they did was they try to form the same shape. Not as fat on the chrome material, but still gives it a nice look, especially when we're talking about such a large vehicle. This is a 3-row. This is the only 3-row in Mazda's lineup. 3-row, 7-passenger. As we come around the bend here, you can see a little bit of difference with how the hatch portion is. You have your roof spoiler, a little bit more chrome, that great design of the taillights, and then really just nice, simple, straightforward, dual exhaust, flat black. Let's go ahead, pop the hoods on these, and see what kind of power we're looking at. All right, guys, we got the hoods popped on these two Mazda SUVs. Let's take a look and see what we're working with. So underneath the hood of the 2019 CX-5 Signature Series is going to be a 2.5 liter inline-4 turbocharged engine. Now, like I said, this one is all-wheel drive, and what's amazing is, guess what? There is a God, because Mazda does not use a CVT. They use a wonderful 6-speed automatic transmission. You're looking at 250 horsepower, 310 pound-feet of torque. This vehicle weighs about 3,812 pounds, 0 to 60 in a very quick 6.2 seconds, top speed 130 miles an hour, MPGs 22 in the city, 27 on the highway. If I'm gonna zonk underneath the hood, it's gonna be that prop rod. Surprisingly, the hood on this is very heavy for a SUV this size, and it would be nice to just have the hydraulic struts. But what's wonderful, like I said, 6-speed automatic transmission, no CVT, and all-wheel drive in the Signature Series. Now, when we come to the CX-9, there's not going to be a whole lot of changes. Take a look. First of all, we're going to zonk the prop rod, even more so on this one because it's a bigger hood. But underneath the hood, you'll see the same exact thing. You are looking at a 2.5 liter inline-4 turbocharged engine, same engine added the CX-5, same amount of power, same 6-speed automatic transmission. This vehicle being larger does weigh more, so you're looking around 4,365 pounds, 0 to 60 in 7.3 seconds, top speed still 130 miles an hour, MPGs are a little bit lower because of the size of the vehicle. 20 in the city, 26 on the highway. Now what's fascinating is that even though it's a great engine, Mazda, there was a bunch of debate going on, a lot of controversy. A lot of people felt like they should have went with a 6-cylinder engine, because if you look at the competitors, most of them, many of them, should never say most, many of them have a 6-cylinder instead of the turbocharged 4-cylinder. But guess what? When we take this for a drive, you'll see it's going to be quite surprising. But let's go ahead, fire these two up, and see what they sound like. All right, guys, we're inside the 2019 Mazda CX-5, that's signature series level trim with all-wheel drive. Now, I know you're probably saying, Joe, before you go any further, I want to hear price. The price on this one is MSRP $38,695. Like I said, comparing these two, they're within a few dollars of one another. With the signature series, you'll notice that everything has been brought to that higher level of materials for sure. What's great is no matter what Mazda you look at, the fit and finish on them are superb. Let's go to the door panels. Now, with the signature series, you're getting real wood. So on that door panel, that wood that you see near the top, that's actually real wood. I love the silver trim, and I love the leather style material at the top with the simulated stitching. Also, really digging the armrest. Nice soft material, great look. You obviously have a Bose sound system in here, and that bottom cubby area is huge for whatever you're drinking, and you could also put some other items in there. So very nicely done by Mazda. Now, as we go from the door to the dash, that same wonderful soft material everywhere. 7-inch infotainment system. Now, what I like about the infotainment system is, first of all, it's touchscreen. That's a nice feature, but also it's not stuck right here. So many manufacturers are kind of just like sticking them right there. I like the way that Mazda takes their infotainment screen and kind of, even though it's upright, even though it's an iPad style, it's kind of like molded into the dash, and that makes you say to yourself, okay, designers actually thought that through. As we come down, I love the AC vents, the silver trim, real wood. This is real wood chopped down from a tree somewhere, but that's real wood. Love the soft finish. You got a obviously keyless entry with push start stop. This one has heated steering wheel. I like just how slim and trim everything is. AC controls, dual climate. I love the silver trim. Seats up front are heated and ventilated. You got a really large cubby area here with your 12 volt. My one zonk, I would like a cover. You see how everything else is finished beautiful? I would like a cover here, just a sliding cover when you're not using it. Some gloss black, not too much. This is gonna control that 6-speed automatic transmission. I like the leather, the nice boot, the stitching here. Really great with the silver trim. You got the leather material on the side with that same stitching going on. You do have the ability to switch this into sport mode. Sport mode adjusts the shift points of the transmission, also finished in that nice silver. And then you have a drive controller that is similar, like a lot of other brands, that you could actually go through the different features of that infotainment system. If you don't want to touch the screen like your anti-touch things, you could just use, well, if you're anti-touch, you're probably not going to be able to touch this. But if you're anti-touching the screen and you rather touch a knob, this is very nicely done. It's got a great feel to it. I like the brushed aluminum look and everything. You got your home button, navigation. Of course, you're gonna have navigation on this car. And this is actually your radio control, which is nice for the volume instead of having it clutter up the dash area. Electric e-brake, 2 cup holders. My only zonk on this one is I wish they would have finished it in silver. You see that beautiful silver trim? They would have just taken it around the cup holders. That would have been great. Love the height and the feel of the armrest. Open it up, you got USB, you got every single connectivity, a nice little felt line tray. I wouldn't put any pretzels or anything in that, then you're gonna have to vacuum that. This is probably for like a nice gold bracelet or something so you don't scratch it. But Great usability out of this, and then the seats. This is special Caturra brown leather. It's Napa leather, very, very soft. Love the design, heated and ventilated and very comfortable. I'm 6 feet tall. I like the way the back feels. The bottom has just enough length to it. And then of course you're gonna get a sunroof as well. It's not a panoramic, but you know what? It really does the job well if you wanna let some of the rays in, or if you wanna let your hair fly in the wind, you'll definitely have tons of wind coming in from that sunroof. But why don't you come on over to the business end and I'll show you behind the wheel of this CX-5. All right guys, behind the wheel of the CX-5, another thing to be aware of, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, something that I forgot, but I know that is important to many of you. Seat controls. Look at how nice. Like I said, it's all in the fine touches. I love that brushed aluminum look, full power adjusted, plus you're gonna have 2 memory settings, and I like where they put it instead of putting it on the door panel. Steering wheel. This is the business right here. I love the design, I love the shape. I like the way there's no gloss black on it. It's just everything's flat black, nicely designed buttons, little bit of silver trim. My only zonk is I wish they would knock out this little plastic area here and allow you to see through it just to give it a nice clean look. There's no reason to have that plastic there, but the leather is great. Dash, unbelievable how clear it is. Now this center speedometer is actually a digital display. Yes, I know we need to get fuel, which we'll do before the drive, but this is actually a digital display which you could go through different settings. If we weren't out of fuel, we would be able to show you that. But you do have your fuel gauge here, coolant gauge, all analog. Shows your MPGs in a nice digital format, and then an analog tachometer. But very, very clear heads-up display on this car, which is also a nice feature as well. Great seating position. Speaking of seats, let's go see where your passengers are going to be spending their time. All right, guys, back seat time in the CX-5. This is where it's a no-brainer why these sell so well. You got a good balanced amount of room, and it allows the SUV to not be so large, the CX-5 to be so large, but very comfortable, 6 feet tall. The only thing is it's a little dark back here because of the black headliner, but you know what? The seats more than make up for it. I like the way the back of the seats, it's that fine Napa leather, that Caturra brown. That's a very interesting name. I actually like saying that, Caturra brown. But anyways, wonderful color, nice little pocket here, felt lined. You got your rear AC. My complaint is, where do you find the USB? Well, guess what? I'll show you in a second. Seats, you're probably wondering, can these move? Yes, the back can actually move a little bit like that. The problem is I don't like the location of that handle there. It would be nice to have the handle down low for the passenger to be able to do that on the fly very easily, especially if you have 3 people back here. It's gonna be a little bit of a squeeze. Now, when we fold down the armrests, remember how I was telling you about USB? First of all, you got heated seats back here, not ventilated, but they are heated, 2 cup holders, and then you open up this bad boy, look at that, 2 USBs right there, nice felt lining so you can put your gold iPhone here and it's not gonna get all scratched up and whatnot. Close it up, and then guess what? You're just chilling like a villain. Really like sitting back here in the CX-5. You could go tons of miles. When you're done with the armrests, there you go, right back where it belongs. But let's go ahead, check out the cargo area and see how much room we have in a CX-5. All right, guys, like I always say, probably the most important part of any SUV, especially when we're comparing 2 sizes, is gonna be that back area. Now, on this Signature Series, nice electric assist, goes up very quickly, and then look about the amount of room we have here. Now, one thing I always want to point out is how large is the opening, because sometimes on certain SUVs, if you're looking at this area, it's nice and large, but to get like a bike back there is going to be a pain in the rear end because of the opening. But the CX-5, really great. The seats are going to do a 60-40 split on that side, and I'll have O'Neill show you, is a 12 volt, which is really great to have out back. But I like the size with the seats up. While he's showing you that, I'm gonna go ahead and pull the seats down for you. You can see that is the amount of room. Now, they don't fold totally flat, but you know what? Once you get the object in, I think that you're still gonna be good to go with this. But why don't we go ahead and probably get to the biggest question, is let's check out the interior on the CX-9 and see if it's worth giving up the all-wheel drive and some of the other fancy tech pieces on this one for the larger size. Let's go check it out. All right, guys, time to come into the largest Mazda currently sold here in the United States, the CX-9. Before I go any further, I know you want to hear the numbers. MSRP on this one, the way it sits, MSRP, $38,715. So let's do the recap. $38,695 for the fully loaded Mazda CX-5 over there. And this one is $38,715. Yes, I got it within dollars of one another. But like I said, this is a touring trim level, which still has a lot of great features, but you are giving some things up. First of all-wheel drive. This is front-wheel drive. Let's take a look at the door panels, see what we have there. Now, on the door panels, there's no real wood, but you do have some very nice materials. I like the flat silver. I love the material on the armrest, and also the handle to pull the door shut. Very nice touches, especially with the contrast stitching. They did a great job there. You do have a Bose sound system in the touring trim level, and there is a little bit of gloss black around the controls for the windows and the locks. I know how you guys feel about the fingerprints, but I think it looks good sitting right now at Ed Morse Mazda. Now, as we go from the door panel to the dash, I like what's going on here. I like the way they kind of gave it this split level, soft material everywhere you touch. There's that flat gray. I like to see how they bring it in. As we come to the AC area, infotainment system. Now you do have still navigation. You still have touchscreen accessibility with it. This is an 8-inch, so 8 inches diagonal compared to 7-inch screen on the CX-5. Here is your push button start stop. Obviously keyless entry, brushed aluminum around the AC vents. I like the nice slim dual climate control. This has heated seats, no ventilated seats. So that's another thing that you're giving up for the larger vehicle. Still have that wonderful shift knob here, just like you do on the CX-5. This is gonna control that 6-speed automatic. I like the way they did the contrast stitching and everything. Very tasteful on the materials used. You have a very large cubby. There is no connectivity in the cubby though. If you notice where the connectivity is, there's a 12 volt down here for the passenger. I'm gonna zonk this, I wish they would have had a USB or something up here for the driver and also the passenger, but I like the gloss black. Just don't touch it. If you don't want fingerprints, don't touch it. You still have that same sport button here. That's gonna adjust how the shifts come into play to give you a better shift quality and keep the car higher in the RPM range if you want a little bit more sporty acceleration. You still have that same wonderful knob here. If you don't want to touch the screen, you're like, oh, I don't want to touch the screen, that's fine. You got the knob here that you can control everything that you could with your finger. You just use multiple fingers and you turn and then you push and select what you want. You got your home button, electric e-brake. That I like the way Mazda puts the radio control knob over here, the volume control. It really cleans up the center area of that infotainment section. 2 cup holders. You see what they did here? They took the gloss black. That's something that I wish on the CX-5 they would have done. I do like that. And then you have these bomb bay doors, which are interesting because you could actually open up one side or the other or both. Now when you open it up, you do have 2 USBs and aux jack. This does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto and a nice felt lining inside. Pretty good amount of space. I'm just not sold on these bomb bay doors. I think it'd be better just to have the one door. Seats on the Touring, you get wonderful leather. Love the pattern, love the style, love the comfort. Especially the back portion is great, especially for somebody like myself. 6 feet tall, bottom portion's great. Plenty of headroom. Touring also gets you a sunroof. And I like on the CX-9 a little bit better than on the CX-5, the lighter sunroof. It really opens it up over here. But why don't you come on over to the business end and I'll show you what's going on behind the wheel of the CX-9. All right guys, the business end behind the wheel of the CX-9, let me show you some differences. Now you do have the power seats just like on the CX-5, but these are just finished in regular flat black plastic, which is fine. But those are some of that extra, that Signature Series has some of that extra treatment to it, which is really nice. No memory setting, so one setting and that's it. Don't change it or you're gonna have to figure out how to get it back to the way you like it. Steering wheel though, same great steering wheel. I love the stitching, I love the leather that they use. And like I said earlier, the buttons and everything are nice and just really out of the way. You can see how they opened up on the CX-9 here. They opened up that area that I wanted to open on the CX-5, so that's a nice touch. And then the dash is a little more analog, which is fine. It's easy to see, but on that CX-5, you have a lot more usability with the center, but you have your analog speedometer, analog tach, tells you what gear you're in, and also this is where your digital display over here. So you actually have a digital fuel gauge, and then you could go through different functions. If the doors were closed, you could go through different functions with that. But you're gonna get all the safety features that you come to expect in your CX-9 at this price point. But why don't we go ahead, check out the back seat and see how your passengers are gonna be loving life in the CX-9. All right, guys, that mid-row, I should say, not the back seat, because remember, with the CX-9, you do have that third row capability. In this mid-row, very, very comfortable. Lots of headroom, as you can see. Let's see what else you get. Now, I like on the Mazdas how they take leather all the way around. They cut out the back portion to give you even more leg room. There's tons of leg room here. You got a little command center with full AC controls. Now, if you remember on the CX-5, you didn't actually have the controls back here, you just had the vents. So that's a nice touch. Now, I know you're probably wondering, well, where's my connectivity? Just like on the CX-5, everything is gonna be located right in here. You have your 2 USBs. My only issue with that, my zonk, is that if somebody's sitting here, you're not gonna be able to connect. So that kind of sucks if you have somebody sitting in the middle. But you know what? It is better to have it up here instead of all these wires dangling across. Rear seats are great. What's wonderful is you could recline them. The handle's right here. Recline them very nicely, very soft and really supportive. But let's go ahead, check out the cargo area and see how much more room that we have. But before we do that, we're gonna check out the third seat and see who could sit back there. All right, guys, now what's wonderful about the middle row is that you do have those reclining and sliding rear seats to get into the back. I know you wanna see Joe Rady from Rady's Ride, 6 feet tall, get into that third row, see how usable it is. What you do is you just pull up on this handle here, the seat goes all the way forward and you have a decent amount of room to climb on in. Now, once you go ahead and climb in, it actually, for somebody small, would I want to sit back here? No. It's a little cramped, as you can imagine, but you know, headroom is really, really good. Now, we do have the seats slid all the way back, so therefore, that's why it's a little bit on the tighter side, but these seats can slide a little bit towards the front, which is nice. You do have the harder plastic back here where the cup holders are, and I wish there was some type of USB port back here. I guess if you have a lot of kids or a lot of people that are gonna be traveling with you, you could always put the ones you wanna punish in the third row and they don't have any kind of connectivity, and then the hard armrest. So I am gonna zonk these hard armrests, but you know what? If you do have a large family, I'm the oldest of 6 kids, so I know how that is to have a large family. You can put the smaller ones back here and they're gonna be just fine. But let's go ahead, check out the cargo area and see what kind of room we're working with the CX-9. All right, guys, time to check out the extra space that you're gonna get going the CX-9 route. Now, with the Touring trim level, you do get electric assist to bring up that lift gate. You'll notice that with the rear seats up, I would say you have just the amount of room for a stroller or something like that, maybe even a set of golf clubs. But other than that, you're gonna have to really put the seats down to get that space. Now, to do that, it's actually real easy. You just pull on that lever and they fold very, very nice and flat. 1, 2, 3. There's the amount of space. I'll get these floor mats out of the way so that O'Neill could show up. But this is really where you're gonna get paid big dividends for space over the CX-5. You do have a 12 volt over there, which is always nice to see. Just to show you smart engineering, let me show you how nice it is to pull these seats back up. This handle right here, actually the same one that we used to put down, you use it to pull it back up, and now it's locked in place. You want the headrest up, you just go like that, and I'll do the other side just to prove a point. So there it's nice and locked in, you put the headrest up, and you're good to go. But guess what? It's about that time. Let's go ahead and take these 2 Mazda SUVs for a spin and see how they drive different. All right, guys, we left Ed Morse Mazda in Port Richey, Florida. We're starting off in the CX-5, that signature series with all-wheel drive. I'll get on the throttle. All-wheel drive really grips the road very, very well. On the brakes, brakes have great feedback, very stable. The best thing that you're gonna love about any Mazda you get behind the wheel of, especially this Mazda CX-5, is just, like I said, how connected you feel to the driving experience. Pulling away on throttle, 250 horsepower from that inline-4 turbocharged engine, really gets up to speed, 0 to 66.2 seconds. Can't argue with those numbers. Love the feedback from the wheel. great weight to it, and I really just love how everything is so perfectly placed in these Mazda CX-5s. Looking out, you have a great view over the hood, and sitting behind the wheel, very, very, very comfortable, which is gonna make the whole driving experience that much better. You could tell the nice quality and materials because of how quiet it is in here, and just how smooth everything is. I'm gonna go ahead and put in sport mode. That's gonna say sport right on that digital center speedometer and adjust the shifts and whatnot. But on throttle, yeah, you could feel the difference for sure with this CX-5. On the brakes, very nice. Tip it in. Very comfortable, really planted. And the feedback, I'm telling you, the feedback from the front end is absolutely amazing. All right, guys, pulling out. If you need a merge, real easy to do in this CX-5 because of the power. Very, very smooth, and just really get you going quickly to where you could get out of the way of somebody or slot into traffic very easily. Super smooth. Of course, you're going to get all the safety features in here: the lane keep assist, the blind spot monitoring, adaptive cruise control. All those features are there like you would expect, including the heads-up display, which I think is another great thing to help you keep your eyes on the road, which is the most important. But we're going to go ahead and get back to Ed Morse Mazda, and we are going to get behind the wheel of that CX-9. So I'll see you in a split second. Guys, we're leaving Ed Morse Mazda in Port Richey, Florida, and we're in the CX-9. I think this comparison is really, really great because guess what? We are in two different Mazda vehicles, but we have the same exact powertrain, which is really wonderful. Even though this SUV is a little bit larger, I don't feel like I'm in a 3-row capable SUV. I feel like I'm in something a little bit smaller, to be honest with you. Same great 6-speed automatic transmission, great feedback from the steering wheel. I'm gonna go ahead and put in sport mode, which when you push that little lever, it lights up sport in orange for you. Brake feedback is great as we come to the stop sign. Visibility is wonderful. I mean, the way that they pull the A-pillars right out of the way really makes it nicely done. Now this one's front wheel drive, so let's go ahead and get on the loud pedal. So you can definitely feel that it's a little slower than the CX-5, but you know what? It's still got the power down to the ground. There was no slippage of the tires, even though you just have the front wheels delivering power to the ground. But you're still getting the same great driving dynamic. And that's what I really like about the Mazda products. Seat, I actually think the seat's more comfortable in the CX-9, especially the back portion. Not that the seats in the CX-5 are uncomfortable, it just the seats in the CX-9 are really, really nice. But everything is easily placed and you could get to it with no issue whatsoever. It's exactly where you think it should be. It's nice to have the larger infotainment screen looking out over the dash area on throttle. I'm actually glad that they went with the turbocharged inline 4. I feel that it gives it a heightened driving experience. You're definitely going to get enough power, especially if you live at a higher elevation. Being in Florida, everything's flat. We don't really have to worry about changes in elevation and less oxygen for the engines to breathe. But you know what? With that turbocharged engine underneath the hood, even if you live in a higher elevation, I think that this is a wise decision for a 3-row over some of the other brands, because those V6s, they're naturally aspirated, so they could be suffocating for air just a little bit. But I really like the way this CX-9 just drives. Back on throttle, little bit of slippage there, but the traction control did its thing. Really, really great overall feel. And that's the wonderful thing is that with the Mazdas, you can have your cake and eat it too. You don't have to give up driving something just downright boring because you need more room for the kids or whatever your lifestyle entails, where you need that kind of room, whether you're you know, bringing big objects back and forth to different locations or whatever that may be. You do have it nicely with this CX-9. Okay, I put it back into normal mode, and shifts are great. Really keeps the RPM low compared to sport mode. You could definitely feel the difference, but you're still getting a great driving experience and great feedback from the car, which is really nice to have. As you can see, it's been raining a lot, so dealing with that, but really think that if you need 3-row capability and you don't want to sacrifice overall feel and feedback, this CX-9 is really a great way to go. But we're going to go ahead, wrap this one up, get back to Ed Morse Mazda, and I'll see you in a split second. All right, guys, it's been an amazing time here at Ed Morse Mazda with these two Mazda SUVs. We compared the two. You know what? For my taste, I would go the fully loaded route, especially with the all-wheel drive, and go the CX-5. But if you need that extra space, the CX-9 still gives you that nice, sporty, engaging driving feel, and you're gonna get the extra room. So really, there is no loser out of this choice. It's just, what do you want with your particular lifestyle out of your Mazda SUV? But I definitely gotta thank Brian, Adam, Miguel, and everybody else here at Ed Morse Mazda, opening up the doors, allowing us to do these comparisons that you guys asked for. If you're new to the channel and you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile coming back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Ladies Rise family. If you want to help us keep making great content for you, click the link in the description, get yourself some Ladies Rise merch. Every little bit helps. Speaking of help, we can't do this without O'Neill working that camera. He's working out in between shots. We've been trying to fight the rain here. You know what? He wanted to film in the rain. I told O'Neill, you're crazy. But thank you, O'Neill, for all your hard work, and you are crazy. And just like always, I'll see you on the next ride.